All right, so I'm going to do the 1.1b reflections practice answer key for you now. Just go through how we get the answers that we get so that if you are unsure why the answers are the way they are, what your teacher showed you in class, or what you saw in the PDF, this is providing you a little bit more explanation. So let's just go through each problem here. First, we have for number one, a reflection across the y-axis. So our directions say to graph that reflected image and then label the vertices. So we know the first thing that we should do is draw that line of reflection. So if it says reflection across the y-axis, let's just go ahead and draw our line of reflection on the y-axis. And that's going to give us something to go off of so that we can count how far each original point is from the line of reflection and put it that far on the other side of the line of reflection. I'll go ahead and start with point H here. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3 spots away from the line of reflection. I need to go 3 spots away on the other side. That's it. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Here is where, remember how we label these, H prime would go. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for all the other points. For point E, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots away from the line of reflection. I'm going to go 5 spots on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm ready to put my new point E, which I will label E prime. L is 2 spots away. I go 2 spots, label that L prime. And then finally N is 1, 2, 3, 4 spots away. So I'm just going to go 4 spots away. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side of the line of reflection, and that is N prime. I'm going to go ahead and erase my work just so you can see how we're going to connect these. Of course, I'd erased it. Just go and put it back on there. It's L prime. And now I can connect the points to make my new quadrilateral. And I've got my mirror image. Okay. For number 2, reflection across the x-axis, same steps as before. Draw your line of reflection and then go and count. Now if you notice, points F and points C are already on the line of reflection, so they're going to stay there. Okay, the F prime is there, and right here is C prime. It's only points P and W that I have to count how far away from the line of reflection they are. So I'll start with point P. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots away, so I'm going to go 5 spots up, and that will be labeled P prime now. And then for point W, it's 1, 2, 3 spots away. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 spots up. Make that a little bit bigger for W prime. And now I can connect my dots. And I have my new image after the reflection across the x-axis. All right, for number 3, it says reflection across x equals -2. So remember, that's going to be a vertical line. The equation is x equals a number, so it's going to be a vertical line at x equals -2. So on the x-axis, I go to -2, and that is where I draw my vertical line. That wasn't such a great line, so we're going to try that one again. There we go. X equals -2. That's a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to count how far away each point is from that line of reflection and go that far the other direction. X is just 1 spot away, right? So I'm just going to go 1 spot away on the other side. And there's my X prime. D is on the line of reflection, so it's going to stay there. That's now D prime. And then W is 2 spots away, so I just count over 2 spots. And there's W prime. And now I can connect my points to make my mirror image. Okay. For number 4, reflection across the y equals 1 line. Remember, it's y equals a number that's going to give us that horizontal line. So I'm going to go to 1 on the y-axis, and I'm going to go ahead and draw that horizontal line, and then just count for each point. Point X is 1 spot away from that line of reflection, so it's going to go further down just by 1 spot, and that will be X prime. For point F, it is also 1 spot away. I'm just going to go down 1 spot for F prime. And then I just have I and U. I is below the line, so I'm going to count up to it 3 spots, and I'm going to go above it 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. There's my new point, and that is I prime. We'll go ahead and erase the work so it doesn't get in our way later. And then we have U 1, 2, 3, 4 spots away. So I'm just going to go 4 spots away for U prime. And now that I have all my new points graphed, I can go ahead and connect those. And that gets me my new shape after reflecting it across the line y equals 1. Now we've got the line y equals -1. Y equals -1 is another horizontal line down here at y equals -1. And I just need to count for each point. I'll start with S here. It's 1 spot above the line, so S prime is going to be 1 spot below the line. For point P, if I count that, it's 1, 2, 3 spots below, so I just need to count up 3 spots from the line of reflection. And there's P prime. And then for E, it's above again, so I count down 2. I'm going to keep going, 2 more. And there is E prime. So my new triangle will look like this after I've reflected it over the line y equals -1. And then finally, reflection across, for number 6, reflection across the line x equals 1. So go on the x-axis to 1 and draw that vertical line, because anytime it's x equals a number, we know it's a vertical line. And then just count how far away each point is from that line of reflection. Point A, I'll start with that. It's only 1 spot to the left, so I go that far to the right, 1 spot. And that is A prime. For all the other points, they're on the right side of the line of reflection, so I'm going to move them over to the left side. I'll start with K. It's 1 spot to the right. I'm going to move it 1 spot to the left. There is K prime. For W, if I count that, 1, 2, 3 spots. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3 spots. And that is W prime. And then finally for point V, it's also 3 spots. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And now that I have, let me erase my work again. Now that I have all those points plotted, I can go ahead and connect them. And there's my new image. All right, so when you flip it over to the next page, we've got we have to draw the line of reflection and then write the equation for it. So for this first one, it looks like they're touching, which means one of the points isn't moving, and that's where the line of reflection is. I've got my pre-image and my image, one on top of the other, one above the other, I should say. So that means I know my line's horizontal, and in fact it's going to be right there on the x-axis. And horizontal line, remember, has the equation y equals some number. Well, it's y equals 0 because I don't have to go up or down on the y-axis at all. It's right there at the origin. For the next one, you can see the shape flips from the left to the right. The original shape there is in black. The new image is in blue. So I've got my line of reflection to be a vertical line. This time, it crosses through on the y-axis. So my equation for all vertical lines is always x equals some number. It's just going to be x equals 0 because that's where that y-axis is at x equals 0. Let's go ahead and scroll on down. Look at 9. For number 9, it's going from the left to the right again. So it's going to be a vertical line again. All vertical lines are going to start with the equation x equals some number. In this case, it crosses the x-axis at 1, at positive 1. So my equation is just x equals 1. Okay. For number 10, the shape goes from down below. It's the black one is the original, and it flips up. So I know my line of reflection is a horizontal line. For it to flip over that line, it has to be a horizontal line. All horizontal lines start with y equals, and then the number is wherever it crosses the y-axis at. And you can see it's crossing the y-axis at 1. So it's just y equals 1. For number 11, you can tell there point I and I prime are the same point. G and G prime are only 2 points apart here, right? And then H and H prime are, how far is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points apart. So I've got to split that difference there between all those. That one's a little tricky. Once I do that, I see it's a horizontal line. All horizontal lines start the same. Y equals some number. Well, where does it cross the y-axis at? Crosses it at 2. So it's just the equation y equals 2 for that line of reflection. And then finally, number 12, I've got the shape going from the right to the left. I know my camera makes that look backwards when I do that, but we know it's a vertical line. So let's go ahead and draw that vertical line there. All vertical lines start with the equation x equals a number, and then my number there is wherever it crosses the x-axis. It crosses the x-axis at -1, so my equation is just x equals -1.